Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. How do we reach conclusions? How do we make, assessments? How do we determine which way an issue is or which way should I take? This is by knowledge and experience and patterns. So you achieve the knowledge by either direct experience or by reading, looking around, being told, observing, and looking and seeing patterns. So that's how we learn. That's how then we can relate to certain events. Let's say you see something happening and you say, well, I think I've seen this kind of indicators in another event or other events. And these steps seem to follow the same steps were followed then. And the outcome of that was this. So most likely the outcome of this, because the indicators are almost identical, the outcome most likely is going to be the same as the other ones. So I'm talking about tyranny. Tyranny has its own indicators, variables that you have to pay attention. And once you start seeing certain things occurring in a society, in the behavior of some, then you can put it together and say, hey, I've seen this before. Oh, I think it was in the so-called Russian Revolution. Oh, I saw that in the French Revolution. Oh, I saw that in the American Revolution. And I'm not talking about necessarily about tyranny that, these guys tried to make something else out of whatever they had at that point. But taking power, and then when you take power, you consolidate power by implementing certain kind of how should I put it? Implementing certain kind of laws, certain kind of ideas. You push them against others, and you just insulate yourself and you consolidate power. Now, those are the same steps humans follow in any society. They try to get power and reach the level of a tyrant, a person, a dictator. And that is usually by banning. When you see people banning stuff, behavior or speech, certain kind of actions, religious freedom, when you see someone doing this and you see the sign, it doesn't matter the reason. They're always going to use the reason for the safety of all, for the good, to protect. I'm doing this because it's necessary for this, it's necessary for this. The justification doesn't really matter. What matters is, are they going to do it? And you see the pattern. And you see that this will be going towards one goal. I will be the one who determines what's going on over here because I have to keep you safe. In this case, I have Zelensky, and I think Zelensky is going in that direction strongly, with full speed. The direction is consolidating power in his hands. He already has martial law instituted. Why? Because of the Russians. So you will always find reasons that are, how to put it, reasonable, and reasons for doing this that are not reasonable. So I have a few indicators regarding Zelensky to point out that I think this guy is having that attitude and he's way ahead in reaching the goal of being a tyrant. All right, and I'm gonna make that case by using this article. Plus I'm gonna use previous behavior and policies, mandates, laws implemented, created by this guy. All right, so first I will go to this article where we know that Zelensky announces new sanctions for those who weakens state. Now, this headline right here is very weasel and very general, and it is for a good reason. You don't want people to weaken the state that are enemies. What kind of sanctions, I would like to know? Is that killing on the spot? Is it you can't buy milk anymore? You can't have a job? What are the sanctions? And there's new. There are some old ones as well. Now this comes from Ukrainska Pravda. Look at this guy. His pictures, he's got a PR, team. And I'm telling you this. This is not, he wears these kind of things like he's a war zone. But look at the light here in this picture. it follows the professional lighting, how should I put it, the methods. One, you have a light back there that shows depth. It has one light from one side, right? It shows, you know, the profile and the darkness here. So it has this light and one from this angle, 45 degrees. Usually that's how you use it. So he follows whoever took this picture was a professional. And that tells me he's got a group of professionals. Now, do you think that this face right here, okay, this face right there, do you think this face right here is, yeah, I'm putting like this because I'm going to use this guy. This face like here, do you think that's the way he is? They create a figure here. They create a myth of this great, irresolute general who is strong and determined to do, and is always at work. You see here, he's always at work. He's not shaved because he doesn't shave, but he's trimmed, you know, and his hair is washed. So just from this is an image for idiots to say, oh, he's working, he's in his office, he's serious. Look at his face. He is like Churchill. This is the same picture as the Churchill's picture, if you remember that one. Remember? I'm going to show it to you. This is the pictures these guys want to emulate. Determination and so on. From what I read, he had a few brandies on his belly at that time. It's not a surprise that he... But anyway, this is what these guys are trying to compare this guy with. All right? And unfortunately, he looks more like this. Because all his pictures, if you look at them, he's always like determined, and from the profile, he is just an image. At work, determined, where he's in a work zone, he cares for you, he's unshaved, he's too busy saving you. The light is over there in the background, the light is right here. This is all done for you, and he's like me, you know. Look at this desk, look at this leather seat, look at the light behind. What do you think? And he has his, you know, whatever. And we have Churchill here, famous, and then we have Zoolander. He's always like this, like, from different faces, you know. He's like, as I made, he's always concerned, you know. Okay, enough with this representation of this weasel. Let's go back to here. So, I would like to know what kind of new sanctions are and what weakens state. Those who weaken state means. That means someone who will report someone for saying something against him about the state. Who's the state? All right, what is weakening? So let's say Zelensky has announced a new meeting of the National Defense and Security Council of Ukraine dedicated to implementing the new sanctions concerning those who are trying to weaken the state. Details matter here in all this. And I'm quoting, "We are preparing new and quite fair, steps against those in Ukraine, Ukrainian citizens, who are still trying to weaken the state and undermine the power of our society." That's the power of our government. That's the translation here. But he uses the society as we are together in this, and I'm going to prepare those new steps, which are fair. I'm telling you there's fair, but I'm not going to tell you what they exactly are, to protect you from those guys who want to destroy the power of our society. Who would be against it? Nobody. Shortly, I'm continuing to quote this weasel. Shortly, the next sitting of the National Security and Defense Council will take place, and there are corresponding draft sanctions decisions. I would like to know those sanctions. The internal security of Ukraine is also a top priority. It is, true, it is. All right, so I don't have any information what those things are, right? This is the end of the article. That's the end of it. Now you say, well, Emil, I think you just jumped the gun here. You're just exaggerating. Yeah, I might, but I'm very sensitive with this kind of signals because I don't like people who will protect us from others, and they are going to determine who are those people and what are the sanctions. I don't like that. And if that would be the case, well, let me determine your protection. I will determine who I can arrest that I consider will undermine your protection. And then guess what? I'm going to do the same thing to others, and I'm going to arrest you because you might undermine his security. I will determine that. Would you like that? I bet you wouldn't when it's about you. But when it's about this, yes, our power over our society, yes, they need to be punished, yes, because they fight for the Russians. Well, that's how the story goes. Abuse of power will occur. Now let me give you the examples why I think this guy has a lot of signs. The signs come from him that he's becoming, or he is already, or he has the mentality of a tyrant. What did he do with the mass media? He made it illegal for some, securing the state, making the society strong. Banned certain kind of media. Free speech. Well, for whatever reason, they gave you, oh, those are Russian sturges. Okay, they will always use this, an enemy, to infringe your rights. The second one, religion. What happened with that Muscovite religion, Orthodox, blah, 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 blah? Banned. Why? Because they found some priests, not the whole thing, just a few, that, according to them, they were collaborators. Or they were they have unapproved papers. Okay, how many did you find? 20. How big is the church? 21 people? Is that the membership? So they banned the whole thing. So one is the mass media. Second, religion. Third, they banned parties, political parties. Okay, then what's next? He started cleaning up house, supposedly, with collaborators in his security forces, in wherever he feels like. A lot of people were arrested and dismissed from positions for the same, to keep you safe. All these things are, for me at least, because I know history, are signs of a person who's getting more power and limiting everybody else's movement, including freedoms, including the fact that Ukraine still has martial law instituted on Ukraine. You say, well, that's necessary. Well, is it? Is it necessary in Lviv, let's say? That's next to Poland. Is it? Why is it? The war is hundreds of miles east. Well, they should. You have collaborators. Well, when you have martial law, a lot of your liberties, my dear Ukrainians, are limited. All right? And not only that, limited meaning that you can be picked up from the street without a warrant. They can have, curfews, times. You can go out whenever. A lot of liberties you are infringed. That means more power for some people that would protect you. I'm not certain that this guy really protects you, or he just accumulating power for himself, for later and right now. So I have doubts, and remember how these guys in America have this expression or saying, if it walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck, if it looks like a duck, more certainly is a duck. So here, if these signs are coming there probably is one of those guys. Look what the Soviets did, right? Look what those Trotskys and Stalins and Lenins and Kaganoviches and Yogodas, look what and Berias, those guys did to those countries, to that country, whatever, USSR. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, political parties, all to defend the Soviet Union. They made, the enemy of the Soviet people. Who was that? Whatever they determined to be. And the sanctions here, everything is very evasive. And people, if you read this article, will be all for it. Who would be against that? Nobody. But I think the details here are the opposite. But they didn't give us the details. What do you think? And I didn't find any article to follow up with telling me, oh, these are the details. I wonder why. Details are very important, my friends, because you should not trust anybody, including these guys who are over there. But anyway, do it at your own risk. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.